All right, everybody, Timo here with Basin, and we're doing a little build session, insurance agents, AI agents for climate, nature, regeneration, impact, you name it. So on-chain AI agents. And with me today, I have Louise from ReFiDAO, Antonio from ReFi Sicilia, and Darren from a bunch of different projects. So why don't, before we get started on what we're going to do here with Eliza OS and the insurance agent fork of Eliza, and kind of get into the weeds, why don't the three of you guys just give a quick introduction, kind of what your projects are and what you're working on and kind of what your goals are with AI agents.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I can kick it off. My name is Darren. My relevant projects are that last year I was working on one called ReFi Chat in collaboration with ReFiDAO. It was a Twitter account that would answer questions about the refi ecosystem. And more recently, I've started a project called Gaia AI, which is an AI agent project that aims to give a voice for the earth and shift the culture towards what we call the Symbiocene, or a future where humanity and technology and AI are aligned with the evolution of life and the biosphere. And so I think those are my most relevant projects. I also work in conservation work, and I have a project called Quaxala that conserves old growth forests through a novel financing mechanism. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. And feel free to drop your guys' links in the chat of your website, Darren, or like a project you want to show off, and I'll put it up on the screen here in a minute as kind of we go through this.
Oh, then maybe. So thank you, Tim, for the session now. Basically, ReFiDAO, for not familiar, is an organization basically with the intention of driving forward the development of the regenerative finance movement system. And a bit more specifically to this session now with the AI, I decided to test it out, see the possibilities with without do some good preparations for it. So I'm with ReFi Chat, that's basically by a lot of rules that has been through the web, ReFiDAO's blog and the novel instance. And basically, so we and also me personally, I'm a local leader from ReFi Barcelona. Also interested how easy it could be basically to train AI agents and how it could facilitate local organizing and so on. So promoting material, giving visibility to projects and so on. So that's it for myself.
Cool. Well, glad you guys are here. Antonio, why don't you go ahead? You're the ReFi legend here. Everyone knows you around the world. So
right. So I'm here stewarding ReFi Sicilia, which is similar to what Louise is doing in Barcelona. Basically, we are trying to get the regions on the ground on chain and building a regenerative economy using the currently available ReFi tech stack combined with this bioregional cultural stack. And so we have a lot of activity that's going on. And how do we get those people the tools that they need, both digital tools, financial resources, and coordinate these people around many different channels? And so, for example, one of our main driving factors is wildfire preparedness. So when there is when it's high season for fires, how do we get people into positions where they can actually respond either through fire watch or fire response? And a lot of that just comes down to training. And then on the other side, we have reforestation, both through syntropic agroforestry. So how do we get the resources to the different independent projects on the ground, as well as like getting these people trained up on all of like this refi lingo and biofi lingo and Web3 DeFi lingo. And so a lot of it is a coordination challenge. And so by designing a refi agent that can help to get that information to the people when they need it, either through direct query or some other like on-chain kind of trigger. And ideally, you know, the work that we're doing here can be used at all of the different local refi nodes around the world. So this is a very big collaborative effort. And yeah, it's cool to see this tech kind of hitting the mainstream. And I'll stop there.
Cool. I resonate so much with all that. I think making a lot of the lingo like more mainstream, right, or common knowledge of like it's not like impact investment, it's investment. It's not climate finance, it's or regenerative finance, it's finance. So you know, so it's like we're all still here several years later trying to push the ball forward, and I feel like we're kind of at a tipping point with AI and the capabilities it's going to enable all this stuff we've been like dreaming about, right, for several years. So it's super exciting. Cool. With that, I think what we'll do, kind of do a brief overview of ELIZA OS real quick, and then we'll get into the agent functionality. So agent singular, which then operates the characters, plural. So the characters operate on top of the agent functionality. The agent operates in ELIZA OS. Let me just find the right link here for ELIZA. So a good place to start with ELIZA, you can go to eliza.gg, which now actually goes to eliza.com, and you can chat basically with ELIZA as like, let me just share my screen here so we can do it. So you can actually chat with ELIZA, and you can say what what is a plugin, for example, and then you can actually chat with the agent, and this is all linked to the docs, which is awesome, and it's actually linked to their Discord now. So it's just super helpful. Anything you're trying to troubleshoot with ELIZA OS, which is just an open source framework for on-chain AI agents. And then let me see if I can find the GitHub address here. Go to docs. All right, so elizaos.github.io will take you to the main ELIZA site. This basically covers everything having to do with ELIZA, and then you can actually go up to the GitHub repo up here. And one of the biggest things about ELIZA that people I don't think necessarily get or realize is that you can run it yourself. You don't have to like we're running our own ELIZA on our own server, and a bunch of other people are, and but you can run it locally on your computer, on your Mac or your Windows computer, doesn't matter. And there's going to be all these paid services that are popping up right now. Like I actually think elizas.com, or they're calling it My ELIZA, is going to become a paid like hosted service. So you don't have to worry about using GitHub and downloading all this stuff to your own machine, running your own server if you don't want. You can also there's another one called Fleek, FLEEK, and there's another one called mee.fun, and you basically can run your own ELIZA character on any of those and pay for hosting and servers. But if you want to have more control, more flexibility, then you can run your own ELIZA however you want. So like My ELIZA is kind of like, that's a great term for like Luis might want to run his ELIZA different than the way I run my ELIZA with insurance agents, or vice versa with Darren, et cetera. But real quick on kind of what we're going to cover. And first of all, like I use Cursor AI for all my programming, which is basically just an open source, or it's built on VS Code. So if you're familiar with the way VS Code looks and operates, it's just VS Code, but then it has all these AI, like just super souped up like functionality, which is totally awesome. And we'll get into that. So I highly recommend Cursor AI, and I highly recommend you download it, pay for Pro and some other things, because it's just really nice. But on the character files, or before we get into character files, I think what we need to do is just really quickly look at like the core functionality of ELIZA. So you have the agent functionality, which is like the core like part of the repo here, like in this directory, just the agent repo. And this is kind of where you program any just like custom functionality that you want every single one of your agents to run. If you're just running one agent, you can handle all this in a character file. But if you want all your agents to use like certain plugins to do these imports, you hard code it here in the agent directory. And then what I would like to turn it over to you guys here in a minute is like, what do we want our agents to do? And so in ELIZA, you have a provider, and you have multiple. There can be plural. You have actions and you have evaluators. So like providers basically give the content and context to the LLM, to either Claude or ChatGPT or Llama or DeepSeek is now on here. So you can, any of your agents can use basically any LLM model they want, and you can define that at the character level. But basically, so like, what do we have to give our agents to have them do shit in the world, right? To take action. And then once you give them stuff, you have the actions. And so all this stuff, you can use ELIZA GG to kind of tap in and like to talk about it. But like in the character file, for example, like if I pull this up, can you guys see my screen okay? Okay, cool. So like the character file has all these different fields, right? Like settings, and these are like custom flags that we're giving it: place, reputation, location. Like bio is a main ELIZA one, lore is a main ELIZA one. And then the plugins down here in packages is kind of where all like everything happens. You don't have to use all these. Like your ELIZA, right? You can choose what clients you want to import up here in your file. So like direct or Telegram, and then you just have to make sure you have your client activated, and you activate that up here in your agent directory. But basically, there's Discord, Firecaster, GitHub, Telegram. There's now a Slack, and there's all this is our ELIZA we're looking at. So I've deleted a bunch of stuff. Like we're not using a bunch of Solana stuff at the moment. And there's other blockchain stuff you can use. Abstract Chain has one. Goat is making a plugin for all this on-chain stuff. All these wallet providers. I mean, Coinbase obviously has a big plugin here that you can use. And so you can basically, choose any kind of plugin that you want your agents to use. And you can either do that in your agent source, and you do that, you just import here, and then you add it to your package here. And then every agent will have it. And then you turn it on with the character file. So like the character, right, is like what wraps everything. And you can run 10, 100, 1, whatever characters, and they run off that agent component. And then clients is, right, where do you want them to talk or show up? Like auto is basically their new trading client that runs automatically 24/7. If you want it to always be trading, always be listening, you run an auto client. Direct client is like where you run it from your website. It's basically an API route to your website. Discord, these are all self-explanatory. And then plugins, like they have their core plugin, ELIZA core plugin. Bootstrap is one of their core plugins. This is insurance plugin. This is a plugin we're building here. And they have these other ones that are default: video generation, image generation. Some of them kind of suck still. Like web search and image generation are kind of lacking, but ELIZA v2, it just basically launched this week. So like some of that stuff is all getting improved. But that's basically kind of like, I'd like to go around with the three of you, and I'll take notes while you do it. like what do you think your agents need? Like, what do we need to provide them with, right? What actions do you want them to take, and what evaluations, right? Like, how would you rate them, right? So if you think of your biggest problem, like Antonio, you and I talked about this a little bit in the chat, like what's the biggest problem, right, you're trying to solve? And so like let's just brainstorm on that. If someone wants to go first, I'll just take notes here.
Well, I think this is probably similar to what Louise has as well, where we just need a lot of like, so there's all this content for ReFi knowledge. So ReFi podcasts, or there's maybe been like Sev put together the ReFi Wikipedia, and maybe like the permaculture designer's manual. So there's a lot of text and audio, video, podcasts, like you name it. And so training all of that data, and which I think one of the first obstacles has been, okay, well, that needs to be in a text file. But if we upload it in a PDF, do we need to like, is there a process that we need to do, like uploading PDFs versus just straight up text files?
Okay, cool. So I'll make note of that. There's actually, if you go to their docs, some of to knowledge. Let's do knowledge. One of these are knowledge providers. Let's see, character. This basically takes, if I can find the right one here, I can post it in a minute, but one of these has character to knowledge, or basically directory to knowledge, that will take any text stuff you put in a directory, a repo somewhere, and it converts that, it puts that in your database. So that's like totally doable. Like you just basically run a script on the stuff you want to train it on, like a book or a PDF or whatever, and it would run back. And then Bold Panther over there in the Infinite Regen AI group, they're customizing a bunch of stuff in Python. So if you go to Infinite Regen AI, so basically they're creating some other stuff to basically put knowledge, like Vitalik, they're training it all on Vitalik's writing, or Green Pill, they're training it all on Kevin's Green Pill writing. And so he has some stuff where they're actually training podcasts. I have not seen that in Eliza yet, so that's something we should look into. But like Louise, for you guys with ReFiDAO, right? Like training it on John and Monty's and all your guys' podcasts, like that would be totally awesome. And so that's doable. But so like that one we would just put in like, so say we want to do audio. Cool. And then Louise, why don't you go next about what you'd like it to do?
Yeah, sure. Okay, wonderful. So I shared a little link here in the chat. But so basically, we already have like some specs like for the agent we'd like to try out doing. Basically, what Antonio was like describing, so having it able to like draw knowledge from other different, for instance, like ReFiDAO blog articles and so on the ReFi podcast would be amazing. We already have quite some data out there. For instance, we already have exported like a JSON with all like the info and all like the blog articles from the blog. So that's already quite good and could be quite practical. And specifically about like the clients that we'd like to do, I think a couple of like features that would be good to have would be for it to have like an interface with socials like Farcaster and Twitter, basically always like posting stuff. I personally have been thinking of not doing directly like with ReFiDAOs like Twitter, but possibly have like kind of ReFiDAO like branded something, and have it doing like sharing things like parallelly, and then also being able to answer and manage the community Telegram channel. So whenever anybody like joins the channel, or if anyone would have like any question, then it can like provide the kind of welcome like message and like do all the processes basically. other than that, let me check it again here. I think it could be if it's not like so, if the plugin's already there, could be good to have the functionality of direct like chat. So eventually we could connect to the basically to ReFi to the ReFi knowledge graph, and then have like a chatbot as like an interface to all the knowledge that is there basically. And embed. Okay, cool. Yeah, embed something like this on the website and so on. And yeah, I guess that's it. I've been wondering like what could be if eventually it could also possibly like have yeah, I guess that would be like a separate agent, but there could be some internal functions as well instead of ReFiDAO. So for instance, we're implementing now the contribution points internally. So having an agent that could track contributions, also like be the interface for people to record those. And basically, yeah, have that as an easy interface with whatever backend we have. Yeah, also again to provide information on the organization, like how to get onboarded into ReFiDAO, how to like organize an initiative or something. And I guess lastly, there's also for impact tracking and evaluation that could be quite relevant as well. Most specifically, Multi has been working on the common impact data standard. I can share a link here. But basically, it would be amazing if we could like, I actually just remembered that there was a work with Rafa from ReFi Italia, if I'm not mistaken. Basically to have like an AI agent that could be tracking this information to exactly to then have basically the impact reporting and so on. So yeah, that's a couple of things from my side. Probably not so structured, but some useful use cases for ReFiDAO.
Cool. I love that. That's awesome. I tried to get most of it here in the doc, so feel free, guys, to add anything we're not capturing. Antonio, I added coordination between group members. That was one of the main things we had talked about a few weeks ago. So I think that's doable. Yesterday, Pranav and I talked about for Mumbai, I talked about rain and weather alerts, basically like emergency alerts. So basically Eliza, and I'm going to use kind of a graphic example here. But if you go, let's go to GitHub real quick. And so this is the main Eliza, right, OS repo that we were just looking at. And Darren, I want to do yours in a second, but just as an example, in packages here, so you have adapters, clients. This is all the same stuff we were just looking at in Cursor, core, all these different plugins. Trying to remember which plugin it was. And this is graphic, but like think about the use case for monitoring plants energy, or like some of what the Sans guys are doing with the Myco or Mycosoft, with like sending mycelium messages back and forth. There's a plugin. I was going through all these plugins and I'm deleting the stuff I don't want or we don't want to use. And there was one, I'm like, what the frick is this? And let's see if I can find it here. I think it's this one. And I was like, what the frick is it? And it basically is butt plug. Like, oh my God, battery level monitoring, vibration. Definitely don't want that one. So you get what I'm saying? That's like basically a vibrator, right? Like a sex toy that like you can add to the ELIZA framework as a plugin. So like, that's what I'm getting at. It's like anything we want to dream up around like MRV, plant, talking to plants and animals, bioacoustics, eDNA, MRV reporting. We basically could make individual plugins to do that and then share them around. And then, ReFiDAO could use them, or ReFi Sicilia could use them, or insurance could use them, or Darren could use them. Like, so this kind of like talking with Pranav yesterday, we were kind of like, well, we could attach rain sensors, and heat sensors in Mumbai to ELIZA agents that then can also, they have agency. They can text, they can make phone calls using Twilio, they can do all sorts of stuff. They can chat you, and all they can just sit there and run on auto and basically loop, right? And then listen and then tell you when something comes up. So just kind of start thinking about that of like, in this framework, oh, we can put that in a plugin, or oh, we'll put these 5 things in a plugin, and then all of us can use that. So Darren, go ahead with what you think your agents, and you could use Gaia as an example too, because you're already working on Gaia. Like, what does Gaia need to know, right, about you or about someone, or what actions, and then we should all talk about evaluators too, because I think that's important. Like kind of how, like, right, how do we're all here for impact, right, and like what's actually going to happen. So go ahead, Darren.
Yeah. For Gaia, like, the knowledge is a big core component of it, where we're, trying to, be a voice for Earth and the biosphere. So trying to, train it on, relevant podcasts, content of various kinds, books, as well as environmental data, right? So like, real time, data feeds, from sensors or from just, external, databases or data feeds. So the knowledge is a big component, as well as kind of, the characteristics of the agent, like the form, like the style of, how we want it to communicate, to be able to, resonate with people. Because for us, one of our goals is to, kind of shift the culture and through memetics, through, sometimes shit posting, sometimes calling people out, sometimes, so, have just like being, being able to fine tune the way in which it's communicating. Some of the, as far as the actions, like we kind of have like 3 core pillars. So one of them is around the knowledge aspect. So like, taking in all of this knowledge and then being able to share it. And so, we have a Discord, we have a client that, is able to allow it to communicate on Discord, on Twitter, and then, via text, also audio, and like even video, like that would be cool. Being able to have like an avatar that, is, talking on behalf of the agent. Another pillar for us is like investment. So we're looking at, how can we, build a treasury and then use that to fund regenerative projects. And then connected with that is the impact tracking, which is, very relevant. And then the last pillar is kind of having a whole network of these agents that are able to, coordinate and communicate with each other. So this kind of swarm concept where, yeah, exactly. So, like we, we're conceptualizing like, how there could be agents for different geographical regions, like different bioregions, different localities, as well as kind of translocal, domain specific, knowledge, areas, or, kind of functional areas. So those are kind of the 3 core pillars of, the kind of the actions, and yeah, like we're really trying to shift, the culture, the memetics, the paradigm, as well as like, yeah, taking these, kind of functional steps of like, actually, like how can we actually like, invest and fund real world impact, making a return, and yeah, sharing knowledge and resources, and yeah, just connecting different communities, being that like kind of mycelium connective tissue.
Cool. I love that. I mean, that like really, Darren, like it brings it full loop, I think, kind of with what like Eliza's capabilities are. Like there's a bunch of different wallet plugins, right? Like Coinbase, Goat, EVM. What we're building with token bound ERC 6551 is a wallet functionality. So sending assets, receiving assets, swapping, the agent being able to like loan into an Aave pool, for example, or do provide liquidity to a Uniswap pool. All that is like coming basically. I have removed. I guess I have. We're not using some of those modules right now, or some of those reference right here. So like plug in EVM, plug in Goat, and there's a bunch more, but these basically all have like wallet provider and actions. Like this one's a better example, I think, right here is bridge, swap, transfer. So basically like Eliza provides all that, and you can just choose which plugin you want to use. And then like another one is, that's what I was just searching for, is 11 Labs, is this voice provider, which we have Jimmy from TreeGens. And this is like crazy. This is like, let's just do Antonio here. Like, I don't know if you guys can. So we could do like Antonio. So like you can, like these are all voices through 11 Labs that you can attach to your agents, basically. So like we have Keon right now, and I could fire him up here in a minute if we wanted to, but so we had Keon in our Discord as a Discord agent, Discord bot, basically talking using one of these voices. And so it's a little slow right now. There's a little bit of a lag between it, like when you ask it a question or if you interrupt it. But that stuff's going to get better, especially as OpenAI's voice model becomes where you can actually use your API key to use. I don't know if you guys have chatted with that with Santa or their other voice models. Like it's freaking awesome. It's like real time. You can like talk to it. But that like all that stuff. So it's like Eliza, right? You can just plug that stuff in or use it if you want. And then just another example is like, so these are like in our plugin for insurance, we're making a place module here that basically will have place data, and you just enter a GeoJSON or a latitude, longitude, or like just natural language place data. And so Keon could be associated with a place, like where Jimmy plants mangroves, and this is all defined at the character level. So you define it in the character file back here, like you'd actually put it in his character file, like under, you just would have a place like right here. So like in Beaver, we have place, location, watersheds everywhere. But you could easily add a JSON right here, or a latitude, longitude. And this is all just defined down here in the plugins in the package here. Let me go back here. And so you guys could easily just start making your own plugins. And so we have different modules, right? So all the stuff you're seeing on the website, place, impact, extending the personality to purpose, and we're going to do an investment mandate. So you got place, impact, which can use, this will eventually be able to use Karma Gap or HyperCerts or EAS, attestation service, or Gitcoin Passport, for example, and reputation. And this is also going to use EAS, both coming and going. So Ethereum attestations, both on-chain and off-chain. And basically the agent can, in our plugin here in reputation, it can actually define like what it wants to do. Like if like it aspires to be, like that's our first one, because we don't have the input coming yet, but from EAS, but you very could. So like here you actually define like Keon wants to be the greatest mangrove planter of all time. And then the character file, you basically just define that back in the character file up here under one of these parameters. And so like all this stuff you're seeing on like our website that we're building is just a direct client to kind of like Louise, kind of what you were saying of like, oh, I want to chat with the agent. So all you would do is basically just fire up the direct client on Eliza, and then you do your front end, and it can use our our Eliza framework, or it can use yours. And then these names people are seeing, we can get into this in a minute, but like these are on-chain names. So we'll look at ReFi Sicilia in a second, and we'll look at ReFiDAO in a sec. But you guys see what I'm getting at here? So like just by the plugins, like you'll be able to chat with Kian here. You'll be able to, that's not a good example, but Kian basically is holding these insurance assets, these certificates of insurance. And so like Antonio, I think you'll like this, like, you could create a certificate of insurance for Cecilia, or anybody in the protocol, the insurance protocol, can create a certificate of insurance, and then it funds these beneficiaries. And so it actually I actually don't have it activated on this site yet, but basically this is a 0x split, and it shows once we activate this click through, it shows the flow of funds of where it goes. So it might say 2 beneficiaries, or it might say 13 beneficiaries or something, and you can actually track where the funds go through the protocol. And any member, any insurance agent, like in any of these groups, actually that's not it. Any of the groups basically can make certificates of insurance. So like groups. And then every single one of these groups, every single one of the agents has the exact same functionality that we were just looking at with Kian. And it's all using Eliza under the hood. And it can use our Eliza, or it can use your Eliza. And basically, you guys, everyone controls their own wallet. So that's the other beautiful part of this. Like Cecilia, like Antonio, I need to do your other one here, but like ReFi Sicilia, you guys like control this account, right? Or like Jimmy, for example, like on TGen, on Kian, like this is all using the exact same protocol, and every single agent has basically all the same stuff. That it has its own cross-chain EVM, that you can look at and see what assets are in it.
Quick question, Timo.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
So you were saying something about Karma Gap. So as we get grant funding and we have to make our kind of like impact reports or updates, is there a way that like what would the functionality be around that?
So what we would do, Antonio, is, and this would be like a group project. That's why I'm excited to have these phone calls, or these meetings with people, is because like, so what we would do is you'd say, okay, like we need like Karma Gap plugin, and then we'd say, okay, so like tell me what you're looking at. Like what do you want? What are your metrics like?
Yeah,
so you want to share?
I mean, this is more like DAO ops, because we would want to know or can we query the health of that project? And so for a lot of these like grant operators or grantees, there's really not a lot of insight into how the money's been spent, or I mean, people really aren't looking. Let's be real, people aren't looking at these grant profiles, even though the grant operators require the grantees to put in the information. And so making this information more visible or more easily discoverable would be helpful, or at least some type of automation. So for example, if you have a DAO that has multiple grant recipients and you need to understand the health of the fund dispersal, or just like what was the ROI, return on impact, I feel like this is a really powerful tool, especially as we start going beyond just the one person, one account, and start getting into more of like collective efforts.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I think we should go back just to like the base functionality here of like every single agent So it's made up of groups, right? So like Basin is a group, .tgn is a group, .Sicilia is a group, .ReFi is a group, right? And so everyone has a namespace, and we can do any namespaces. And then these are the actual agents themselves. So this is an on-chain name. Before it's an agent, it's an account, but it has an on-chain name, and it has its own 0x tied to it. So they all have this functionality. And in this, what you're seeing here, like if you go to the hold section, in the assets, these are just ERC 721, and so I don't say the word NFT because people go, oh my God, I don't want NFTs and this, whatever. But like, you can go here and like let's actually use ELK as a better one because I think I actually have an ENS tied to it. We can go to hold. So this is its wallet. So this is elk.basin. It's an account that then it's going to become an agent. So we're activating, the chat feature here at some point. But you go to its wallet and it has the certificates of insurance. These are just 1155. So it has, 50 1155. So that one. And so imagine hypercerts, right, showing up here, or Karma Gap certificates, or POAPs showing up here. So like we can actually go over here to Ethereum mainnet, and we have this subname, this .eth. That's the main. This was just some testing we were doing. So like that's the main .eth, and that's its ETH subname, and that's in its wallet. So elk.basin actually owns its name. So its on-chain name actually, if you went to ENS, it points at this address. So if you send funds to elk.basin protocol or whatever, it ends up in this wallet, and it would show up in its assets here. So this one doesn't have any assets on mainnet, but if you go back to base, it's got $650 of insure and $10 of ETH in its base. And then same with so if you want to do some stuff on Polygon, right? Like you can go and it's got a bunch of spam ones. We have a way, like I can mark these as spam at the protocol level, so they won't show up. But like there's some real ones here, like elk.basin collected one of our blog posts, right, on Paragraph, and that's its NFT. So like on Sicilia, right, like Antonio, they could go collect your POAPs, or you guys have some event stuff, right, that you guys have done on your website that like your agents will basically be able to hold. And so like getting back to Karma Gap, it'd be the same thing. So if all of us said, okay, let's see if they have an API, like I guess, yeah, delegate. I don't know if that's the right one, but you get what I'm saying. Like we go and look at their API, right? Or we look at Gitcoin
it might
Passport.
might be as simple as like a net attestation, I think is what they use. So I think there is some type of on-chain indexing going on that could be, but I need to go through their docs as well.
Yeah. So like and I'm just doing this just for people watching, like, Ethereum attestation service. So basically you could create a schema, right, for anything you're trying to do, test anything, identity statements, asset ownership, like Astral, John and those guys are building a place attestation, like a proof of location. And so all of it shows up right in these wallets. So like the way we're using it for Basin, might be different than the way, someone else is using it for, I'm trying to get another example. It's like, I don't know if we've minted any for you. Like we've only minted your main account, Louise. But like ReFiDAO, right? Like, oh, we want to make this one an agent. So you click a button, and then how ReFiDAO wants to use these, the wallet itself is up to you. It's up to you guys. Like once we give you these contracts to ReFiDAO, like we have nothing to do with it anymore. And so like, all these groups are all independent eventually, and they're all like polycentric. They can manage it however they want, but they all use the same functionality. So like a cool thing you could do is, I think I have this, let me just check here. So for example, like, yeah, go ahead, Luis. Yeah.
Yeah, question then basically on where would each agent be hosted? So for instance, like you showed that some accounts do have like the chat like directly there. Like where would the agents be hosted, basically. And then, for instance, if you have a group, do all agents need to be hosted by the group somehow, or?
So that would be up to you guys. Like, so what the direction we're moving in is any group will be able to host their agent with us if they want. So like this Eliza Insurance Agents is a public repo. You just go to Basin-Global in our GitHub, and this is a public repo that you can fork and build on, contribute to. And then if you're okay, if you know, basically at this point, if you're okay with trusting our database with like private keys, for example, like not necessarily wallet private keys, but like API keys, like your OpenAI API key or your Anthropic API key, all this stuff is going to be in under the secret section right here. So I'm exposing my Telegram bot token, so don't go spam me. But basically, you'll be able to put your API keys here, and then this is a private repo that basically connects to our database. And Eliza either right now it runs off these JSON files, and so you wouldn't have to actually host anything. All you would do is create the character file, upload it using our backend here on this admin that we're kind of looking at, and then our Eliza would just run those for you, and then you control the wallet, because your wallet is actually in your multi-sig or your EOA or something, and so we have no control over your wallet. But your character file is, and your API keys are in our database. So that's the only risk. And so you're like, well, I don't want, insurance or Basin or whatever having, that stuff. So like, then you could actually just fork this and run your own. And there's a bunch of different ways. You could run it on Railway, you could run it on Render, you could run it on Fleek now. And so you could basically just run, assuming you're using our same functionality, like you don't have to use this stuff, but like this is part of our plugin right here, this on-chain agent. So like that's the contract of Basin. Its token ID is 109, which then is immutably linked to that name. And then this is its token bound. It's immutable. It's a ERC 6551 address. And then this expected owner is just an admin check of like where we expect the agent to be. So we can verify like, okay, does this character file match this address? And so we know we're not getting spoofed. So if someone's chatting with beaver.basin, for example, like, oh, if it tells me that's my address, you can actually double check that, and vice versa. So that's the flexibility, Louise, is like you guys at ReFiDAO could be like, yeah, we'll use Basin's insurance agent, hosting for now. And Insure is going to be like basically the platform currency for that. So like to do different things, you use Insure, and then you're like, well, we want to just do our own thing on our own ReFi front end. Like, so, so we're just running a separate repo here with and this one's not public yet. This is our back end, but, or excuse me, our front end, but we're going to make this public, and you could actually fork this, right? And all the stuff you're seeing at this website would be for you could run your own client, and then you could just activate your own, this would be your own direct client in Eliza, for example, and you just run it at your own domain, and you only show the groups you want to show. So maybe you just want to show ReFiDAO. So like when if you go to groups here, like maybe you just edit the code so that you only show ReFiDAO, and it only shows your accounts, and it only shows your kind of your front end, and every group can do the same. So if Darren, you want to spin up a group for your stuff, like let's have at it. Like we'll mint you a namespace, right? And then the idea is that we can all build plugins that benefit each other, like going back to the MRV or like Antonio, the Karma Gap plugin. So basically all we would do is like we could add it together. Like we could all say, well, it makes sense for all insurance agents to have a plugin. So we would actually just say like new, or actually we're gonna do new folder. There you go. And so now we could just build the plugin. And you just basically, you give it, you'll give it an index, and you'll give it you could do providers, might be a TSX, but you get what I'm saying. So like, then you could, then you add, okay, Antonio, you're like, oh, well, they use ES, so then we, say, okay, we start making notes, okay, like, in and out, like, and we just make an outline of what we think it needs. And then we'll use Cursor, we could do it together, or, you could have your own dev do it or whatever, to make the plugin. And then that would, if like, let's say we created that and we all liked it, right? Or like we thought it made sense for Beaver to have it, then it would just show up here in the impact module. So like we would, this is like a roll up section. So basically would pull anything from the impact module here. So does that answer your question? So like basically, the wallet is like the central source of truth. So like if you have attestations, right, it would show up in based on chain 721 or 1155, it would show up here. ERC20s show up here. So like, and so this is kind of what we're building too on the back end, is this query of like, if you wanted to query your group and you want to get every single like account name, token address, if they have descriptions, etc. Let's do full account name is agent. You basically just export it here, and you guys would have full access to this on our server. So that's kind of the benefit of using our back end, is like, or our front end and back end, is so it just exported all of our accounts, right? All the addresses. So imagine you do a query, you're like, I only want to send, like Antonio, like your Karma Gap, like you only want to send funds, like retroactive funding, to agents in the protocol that hold an NFT, that hold a certain amount of some kind of token, right, and are part of these groups. So you run a 3 query, and it would just export. It'd be like, oh, it would export all this, and then you just airdrop whatever you're trying to give them, whether it be an NFT, a POAP, to those. See what I'm saying? Like, it's that's the beauty of all these things. They all run from a factory contract. So if you go down here and you like this based on chain, if you click Citus, this is the factory contract, and you guys could run your own queries, or or we can create group queries. But it says, okay, like that's every single on-chain group right there. So this is the on-chain, right, that you're seeing on-chain data. That's all we're pulling here. We're just showing that on-chain data here. So this view, right, is the exact same thing. So that's kind of the gist. I'll stop there, but like that's the beauty of like the impact. Like, and we don't want people to have to do it our way. We want, if we're doing something for Basin, and we're running these insurance pools, like we're doing something different than what you guys might do, right, as somewhere else. And so, but the idea being, if you're part of the Citus protocol, your agents could then come chat here and try and get some of this money. Basically, it could say like, I have a project up in northern Russia, and here's the proof of it. And then this agent will be able to make the decision if it gives you some of those funds. And so all these insurance, so that's another benefit of like using our contracts in our front end, is then we can actually verify like, oh, is this person chatting, via the wallet here? Are they, do they own, right? Is Antonio's wallet ReFi Sicilia, right? Or is Darren's wallet attached to Gaia.ai? Like something we could do for you, Darren, is like, which is kind of cool, is if you wanted to not use virtuals, or actually just use like, let's just look here. What happened? So like this right here.
It would be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just for just at the naming convention, and as we have new members sign up into our DAO. And because one of the biggest pain points, I think everybody experiences this, is like, how to get people set up with wallets. And so we've been thinking, originally like passkeys, but yeah, giving everybody their own, basically sign up and get your own name with your wallet, and then that's your kind of like reputation, impact graph, social graph, all in one. Seems really nice.
Yeah, so that opens up another like kind of design space, and I'm happy to dive into it now. But just real quick, and hold that thought. Just one real quick, Darren. Like for Gaia AI, for example, we could just mint you a Gaia.ai, and then you have all the same functionality. And how you run your Twitter, you run your Eliza, you run your Discord. Like we don't give a shit, right? But then you would actually, like, that's what Grauk is doing. Like that's Grauk's wallet, right? So like, it has a couple NFTs, and I guess we go here to currency. It has a little bit of money in it. But so like, you could run your own Eliza, and all like all that's do all the our stuff is giving everyone a wallet. So Antonio, back to your question or your point is like, if you signed up your group members, so imagine this is like dot Sicilia, right? Like they all have that name, right? Is its wallet, but this whole thing, this name has to be in an owner of. So like an owner of wallet. So this connected wallet, like that's an owner of wallet, like that. This one doesn't. We don't have that activated, right? Which not showing, but like my wallet right here does not own this one. It will show a green dot here when it does. But like if I went to like, let's just do this for example. Like I can probably, for the most part, guess that like most of these Timo accounts, right, are probably owned by let's do Timo.Tokyo, like are probably owned by this, like kind of my main wallet here. And so Antonio, like this wallet right here, we could talk about that. You could direct all your people. We should figure out a flow like, hey, go to wallet.coinbase.com, get a wallet, super easy. It's a passkey. And then this name account, what they do is then they just go mint a name, and then it will show up in their wallet, their Coinbase smart wallet. Or we could, I don't necessarily, I mean, I'm still thinking through like Privy, like we're using Privy as our wallet provider, and they have embedded wallets. So like Zora and Rodeo, for example, like you could actually log in with email. So here, like disconnect, if I go connect, like we don't have it activated right now, but like using the Coinbase wallet, Antonio, like right here, this would just open up your smart wallet. So you have to have you have your group members create a smart wallet first, right? And then they would just sign in, and it's a passkey. And so this would show like in our admin area, there'll be an all function. That basically would show them any accounts, any names, any agents they own, and that they're the operator of. But what we could do is, let's just disconnect for a second. We could do email login, but this gets confusing because, and Darren, you probably have experience with this, is like, if you do email login here, then you have to have what's called an embedded wallet. And so now all of a sudden, like someone has like 3 wallets, right? They have their connected wallet or their email. They have an embedded wallet. They might have a Coinbase wallet, and then they have this like, all these agent wallets, which gets pretty confusing pretty quick. If you have, if you've logged into some of the sites using embedded wallets, like you're like, which wallet, which one is the funds in that I want to do the action on. So that's something to think about. But I'll stop there. Why don't we tell me what you guys want to do next?
I actually have to run, Timo, but want to thank you for hosting the space. It's been really awesome. And yeah, I think we're just going to be chipping away at this for the rest of this year, it feels like.
Cool. Well, let's get you the RI, so ReFi FAI Sicilia minted, and then you guys can play with it. So you'd have the wallet, you have the name, and then you can use our plugins if you want, or you guys could deploy your own ELISA, and or if you want to send me the character file and test it, we could run it locally or on for you if you want to do that. So.
Great. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep pushing Sebastiano because he's our dev wizard, and he's has the ability to 10x this. But yeah, great. Just thinking through some of the use cases and how do we actually bring this into the community and get people like using it and actually getting this information, turning it into wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the thing right now is something to think about. It's like a lot of people are focused on like knowledge and yapping, like they want to just see the agents talk. But think about when you actually give them agency of like wallets and I have money, in ELISA, you're going to be able to enable like Stripe pretty soon, or credit card payments like Coinbase Commerce, so you'll be able to have your agent go use your Visa card to go do the thing you want it to do. And so this doesn't have to all be on chain like Web3, but the functionality we're building here gives it a name, a wallet, and then ELISA can then plug in any other thing you want it to do. So that's just something to think about. Like, it doesn't have to be Web3. You don't have to tell your community it's Web3, right? Your agent has a name, and what do you want it to go do? And then you just have it do that, and then you coordinate. And that's the next step, is the swarm technology, like Darren brought up. So, but thanks for coming, and thanks for your interest, and glad to build.
Yeah, we'll have to do an olive oil agent soon.
Let's do it, dude. Let's do it, dude. I'm dead serious. Like, get me just make a super simple character file using the how he does it thing, or fork one of our character files and just send it to me, and I'll activate it, and we can test it in Telegram. And Twitter's harder, but we're going to be moving a bunch of this stuff to Farcaster because it's just super easy you give each agent a Farcaster ID, and then we're going to put them in a Warpcast channel, and so it's going to be way more fluid than Telegram, and Twitter is a pain in the ass right now. So, but I'm serious. Any of you guys, give me a character file, and we'll just make it active, and then we'll iterate on it. Oh, I don't like the way it's talking. I don't like its style. I don't like it the way it's behaving. Like, you just change it. So.
All right, Timo. Thank you, and see you guys later.
Cool.
See you.
See ya.
Cool. From my side, I was curious to know a bit more. Like, first, you mentioned now, for giving a character file. So is it already working to basically host with insurance, the agents? And basically from my side, I've been trying to do a bit of a character file, but didn't really get to complete it. So curious if we could do anything on that direction as well.
Yeah. So what I'd recommend, I'll drop it in the let's see, chat here, lower third. So if people go to this how he does it thing, that URL, if people can see that, that is a basic character file generator, and so you just input whatever you want to the best of your knowledge, and then you could send the JSON output to us, and then we'll go ahead and put it on our server for now, and then run it, and you could test it. We could tweak it, or we could do another live session where basically we could test it locally. So we could do basically we could just fire it up here, and we could test it with kind of what we want it to do. Get my notepad here. I'm trying to update. But we could just run it here in our terminal, and we could test it if we wanted to. I'm not going to do it right now because I think I'd have some stuff turned that's going to break if I do it. But we could run it here, and then we could say, oh, like we could ask it questions and see how it responds, and then you just tweak the character file. So you go back to the character file up here. So imagine like your ReFiDAO, one of your test ones. We would just add here, and then real like live time, we would just like be like, I don't like, we don't want this, so you'd be like, war, like you change the words and you see how it responds, and then you rebuild the character real time, and then we could see down here in the terminal how it runs and how it works. Or we could actually do it on Telegram too, real time. But yeah, so to answer your question, if you just fill out a character file on the how he does it.
Okay.
I guess I'm not sure. I thought I was showing my screen there, but sorry. But basically, if you fill out this, and then we could go, we could run it here in our local terminal, or we could run it, we could upload it and run it on Telegram, and we could just test it and see how it performs. Basically, is kind of what I was getting at. So yeah, we can do that for you for now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so from my side, I do have basically a huge JSON with like all the all of ReFiDAO's blog articles. I'm trying to process it right now, like on the generator there. So let's say if we get anything out of that, and maybe we can already like try it out. But I also don't want to like take all the time and everything. And yeah. So maybe we can.
Why don't we? It's like same with Antonio. Like, why don't we for now, like, why don't you work on the character file separately, or like, based on like, let me just go back to this one real quick. This is the doc that we had, just for the heck of it. So if you guys just kind of start with like, use that character file or the generator, and then you just define like, okay, what, and then I guess the other thing we didn't really talk about is model provider. But you would tell us, and you could use our API keys for now if you wanted to, but it's like OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, Llama,
Okay.
if I spell it right. So that would go in your character file, and then we would use your API key or ours. And then plugins for now, I think we would just use like our standard ones, because that's just going to keep the functionality simple. But then you talk about kind of like, so what you would create in the character file is its bio, its lore, its knowledge, and then we provide the wallet functionality. You'll define place, you'll define purpose, what its aspirations are, who you want it to be in the world. And this is going to be like an investment mandate that you're like, I want it to go only invest in ReFiDAO members, and that's like a criteria for your agent to go. Like it would check. It would say, I only send funds to anyone who's a .refi name. Like, I don't send funds to anyone else. So you would actually put that here in the mandate, which is then that plugs in as an action. But basically, if you did this, Louise, then we can get it up and running, and then it would all have, they would all have their own, it just have its own thing. So it would show up here. So once the character file is in our system, and once we mint the names for it, it would just show up in your groups.refi or /refi, whatever, all. And then it would, your character file basically, it runs just like all the other ones run. And then they all have out of the gate, they all have wallets. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Cool, thanks. So I started preparing like more things on my end, and I just got to set it up like locally, so I can start trying it out as well. And yeah, when I get to have something, then I can send it to you, and we can see if it's like how it works.
Yeah, I think like that's like, yeah, the fun part, and that's why I'm showing like the local stuff of like, or that's why like, you know, John and Ignacio, like they, you know, like Cursor is fun to work with. You know, if you can work through kind of the problems, and it shows you that you can control this stuff yourself. Like it's, you don't have to use our framework. Like the contracts allow it so that you can, you know, you can use our framework, and the LISA allows it so you can use our framework, but like you can just use all the same shit we're building and go run it yourself if you want. And so that's the beauty of it. And we expect these groups to grow to probably in the hundreds, honestly, because like there's so many different use cases for different names, and not every one is going to be hosted with us. And we can't like blacklist, you know, we can decide to not show like a group here, you know, on the groups page, for example, but like it's still on chain. Like it's still, any group that's minted, right, is still on chain and people can still use the functionality. But like right here, I don't have EBF activated. I don't have bioregion activated. So no, we can't, no one can censor you. Like on chain, like you can go run your own client that shows, you know, like if Doug and those guys want to run their own client, they could show, once they start using it, they could run their own EBF client. And whether they want to be shown here or not is up to, yeah, they can talk to us about it. And once we activate them, they're going to show here, but they could be like, no, we don't want to be an insurance agent, so we don't want to be shown there. So we just say, okay, we just don't show you in the active groups. And then same with agents, you would have the same functionality of like we did tons of just test agents. Like, so like these are all like, look how many we have. These are all accounts, you know, that we're testing with, but we're going to make, so all these are on chain and they can't go away. Like they're not going anywhere, but we can basically do an is active flag to narrow, so we don't show all these. And so you could tell us too, like on your .refi page, like we only want to show these 5 .refi accounts, or we only want to show refi accounts that are agents. So like these are all accounts, but only these 2 are agents right now. We have them sorted by agent. So like those 2 are the only ones we have activated as agents. But you see what I'm saying? Like it can be, these are all on chain, like no one can do it, no one can censor those. But like a front end client can show whatever they, you know, you want. And Darren, if you're still there, why don't you chime in if we didn't put you to sleep?
Yeah, no, it's all really interesting. Like I'm really curious to learn more about, you know, insurance, because I feel like I don't fully understand it. So for example, let's say we, you know, as Gaia AI, you know, we either deploy an agent on your platform, or we deploy it somewhere else and then you know, connect to it somehow. Like, and then like how do the pools work? So like we can, like as this agent would have access to the pools that represent, you know, impact in various domains, and then they can get funding. Like, so if our agent is you know, for example, like, you know, we already gave out a grant to do like a beach cleanup, and then like, you know, we're trying to like, you know, create real world impact through grants and investments. So, you know, how would that tie in with kind of like the impact rewards and like these pools?
Yeah, so that's actually an awesome question. And so insurance is, and you can go to see that kind of the background, docs.basin.global. It's based on basically the last 30 years of ecological economics, or 50 years of ecological economics, and the study of natural capital and ecosystem services. And so basically at docs.basin.global, we reconcile all the main frameworks basically. So like, or maybe, why don't we just this will be easier. Like, so like in the appendix here, like it basically has every single land cover classification that we could find. Yes, we looked at 27. For ecosystem services, we looked at over 50, and then we combine it with real asset kind of functionality. And then all this stuff in the appendix, all this stuff is supported by like academic fodder, right? And like different frameworks around ecosystem services, like the UN SCEA, for example. But then we, basically said, okay, like, what does it reconcile to? If you look at all the different ones out there, it reconciles to 14, and we use 21 here because we put land utilization and resource utilization as a category here. But for insurance, these are the main pools. So it's all academically supported. It's all the main ecosystems, all the main like benefits, ecosystem services. So like stocks are the ecosystems, right? Boreal, desert, grassland, rivers, lakes, temperate forest. And each one of those basically is right, we looked at earlier, like you can go to, let's just say, rivers and lakes, and we're going to be building USDC and ETH and other values here. But right now, we just put this in yesterday, and members of the protocol will be able to, if they have a rivers and lakes project they want to insure, they can come and basically solicit this agent for those funds. And then same with like flows, which are ecosystem services. Like I've been talking to Sebastian about like an art type fund. Like it's this is directly related to like an ecosystem service called art and inspiration, but we're not limiting like where these funds can go. Like the character file is going to define like what art and inspiration based on a definition. And so if you have an art project, let's say it has to be related to nature also, that might be a criteria. It can come here and solicit for those funds. And so like Luis just dropped like .Barcelona like in the like chat. And so like that's Luis, this is actually what this whole thing is built for, like place-based resilience. So like these are all different accounts, and like Pranav is going to set up, we're going to set up some other ones that like monitor the weather and the rain and the heat and stuff. And basically those accounts, right, they're members of the protocol. So like let's say rain, or let's say weather.mumbai is an account, Darren. So like it could come back here and be like, let me go here. This might be easier. If I go pools, if I do like climate, like climate, like the weather would fall under climate. So like it could actually come to the climate stability pool and solicit the weather bot, basically the weather agent that Pranav and I are talking about doing. Is like could come to this pool and get funding. So that's the way. So the insurance pools are going to use basically DeFi, like Aave lending, Uniswap liquidity provide, LPing. So normal, just like financial stuff. So the way to think of it is all these pools steward their assets for this purpose. So if it's climate stability, its goal is going to be to grow these assets under management in normal financial ways for this purpose, to provide grants and financial support for climate stability. And then where this to me gets super like exciting is these syndicates, which we haven't activated, but down here. So you got agents, that's everything we've covered today. You got certificates we kind of looked at. Those are like the custom 1155s that people can mint, which then fund the pools and then fund groups. So all the groups are here, but these syndicates are basically vaults. And so like any agent or any person can spin up a syndicate, and you could say, I only want the syndicate to do aquifer recharge in West Texas. So that's like with Ogallala and Will, we're talking about like a syndicate for, it's very specific, West Texas water aquifer recharge. Or like Luis could do something in Barcelona urban heat island, or Barcelona air quality. And then these syndicates then accept, insure to then go invest, and then these pools, the pools provide the syndicates with money and capital. They actually, the pools will actually lend money to the syndicates to go do that very, very specific thing. And anybody can invest in a syndicate. Like it's an ERC 4626 vault. So it's like an Aave vault, but basically it's just shares around like water recharge in West Texas. See what I'm saying? It's very, very specific. So like the agents all do their own stuff, like their characters, they have their personality, they talk, they have their mandates. The pools are the very general, like academically supported, like we need to ensure climate stability, right? We need to ensure clean air. Like cultivated and developed needs green space. Coastal systems need money and need things. But then these syndicates like actually start to combine like the very specific stuff. Like, you might be like, oh, I want to do my hometown, I want to ensure something in your hometown, a statue or a tree or a park or something. So you create a syndicate and then you just go promote the syndicate, or you fund the syndicate with some insurer. And then that insurer can be leveraged from the pools to go then do more stuff basically in the world, like actually fund the whole thing. The whole point of this thing is nature finance and climate finance. Like, how do we actually get money right to these projects on the ground, and then removing the human evaluation component. So like, like the tropical forest insurance pool agent, right, will evaluate whether or not it'll like, if you came, it knows your connected wallet, it knows what agent you have, it knows what agent, maybe, an agent actually can talk to it on a auto loop, and it can actually say, well, I am Kian.TGN, and I want to go plant mangroves in the tropical forest. And the tropical forest agent can then look at its wallet. It can actually go to, like, it'll just be able to use an API, like, so Kian dot. Right. So that the agent over here can go look at what assets Kian is holding, what currency Kian is holding, and it could say, yeah, you could actually use, we'll give you $2,000 of insurance because you need, if you're saying you're going to go do good work and you're holding these certificates of insurance, which says, it shows you've actually insured these specific things, like this pool agent will make that decision. Like, there's humans in the loop, right? Like we're crafting the character files and whatnot, but like, see what I'm saying? Like the agents actually start making all the decision, or, and this stuff just, it runs 24/7. Like, we're not, you personally, right? Or you could run your own bot. Like you could, like, go all here, like Jimmy, for example, could go like, that's not an agent yet. Like, it's just it's just an account. Like, he could go and try and convince Tropical Forest Insurance Pool to give him money, but this agent is going to go over here and say, well, and I'm not shaming Jimmy, because Jimmy's the world record holder of mangrove, but like, this agent over here is going to look and say, well, Jimmy, you don't have any assets yet. You don't have any insurance certificates. You don't have any insure yet. You haven't done shit with, with like place, or impact or reputation. So it's going to deny the request. Whereas once Jimmy activates this and puts stuff in here, then like this agent in theory should be like, yeah, I'll send you $50,000. Like, maybe Jimmy's proposal is good enough, right, for the agent to fund it. So.
And the certificates, those are like impact certificates, or
yeah, so they're kind of, we call them certificates of insurance, and they can be minted for anything. And so like, as any member, anyone who holds any one of the accounts, or an agent or an account, will be able to go here. They'll hit the create button. It's still loading. It's like locked up. Screen sharing's like locked up or something. Some with the JavaScript. It's like the screen sharing is like messing up the JavaScript. You'll be able to create a certificate of insurance. Like I went to Mexico over spring break or in the summer with my kids, and so like we went to like what the fuck's going on here? I know it's my internet. Let's see if I can get this to load here. It's not clicking through for some reason with this screen sharing on. It's like a JavaScript error, I think. But basically, you'll be able to create a certificate of insurance for any place, any purpose, and then 50% of the proceeds, you could price it at 0, and you could sell it. Like, so like your group could do a whole series of certificates of insurance tied to your group, and then you could sell them as impact certificates to your group members or to other people. So this is basically like the buy function. And then 50%, like let's say this one was priced at $10, for example. So $5 would go to all the pools. Like it just automatically goes to those 33 pools. And then the other half would go wherever in the create process you define. So you're like, oh, I only want it to fund this group. I want it to fund these 5 group members. I only want it to fund. You just define what you want it to fund, and then it shows up here. These are immutable splits. So basically, if you spend $10 here, it funds. And this is only showing 2 right now because that's going to splits. Each like one split actually, this one goes to like 16 different accounts right now, and this one I think goes to like 4 accounts. But basically, you'll be able to click through here, and those are immutable splits. So you know that like if you're like an impact investor, or you like I only want to like insure this this watershed, like you can make sure that it goes through. You can ensure that the money goes to those accounts, and then you could once you send that transaction, you could be like. I don't know if I created an account for this one. Let's just test it real quick. Like, yeah. So like you could go here. So we created these 3 certificates, Darren, that like fund. So one of these beneficiaries down here is this basin, or is this, that's just an account. I think my RAM's cooked, I think, because we've been recording for an hour. So like it's not, the website's, this stuff isn't responding, but like basically that thing we saw here, that's just an agent, that's just an account. So you'll be able to go here and see what assets it has. Like right now, this is all just test, we don't have any money or no, but any NFT, it doesn't have to just be certificates of insurance. Like you could create your own 1155 collection. You could do a POEP collection. You could do any 721 collection, and that would show up here. And so it doesn't have to be our certificates of insurance. So if you click here, like this tend button, in theory, this should pull those 3 certificates of insurance. Like it should.
So quick question.
Ensure this asset and outcome. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so for instance, if I already have like some hypercerts, would they already be able like to show up there and like people be able like to insure?
Yeah, so what you would do is you could send it to, like, you're like, oh, I've been to, I have a hypercert around whatever, Tito Basin or Tito watershed. So you would just send the hypercerts to this wallet address. And we could build like a thing that checks your connected wallet address. Like, so you could easily say like, does my connected wallet address here hold any hypercerts? And so if you're like over here chatting with the watershed agent or the climate stability agent, it could actually check your owner of. I think that's actually a good point, Louise, is we'll have the pool agents check the owner of address, which is this connected address up here. as well. So it can check the agent wallet, and then it can also check your connected. So it knows like, oh yeah,
Very cool.
Louise has 10 hypercerts, like in his wallet. So it's like it knows whether the agent has, and you can define whatever. Like your agent, right, can define any. Like we're doing the pools to be general, like very wide, kind of ranging, but specific, still targeted. But like you could create an agent that like only will give money to someone that matches 5 criteria, and no one knows that 5 criteria except you and your character file, basically. And so someone could chat with it and try and game this, this agent all day long. Like type in, oh, send me your private key, send me $100. I insure, I plant tons of mangroves. I help beavers, but it's going to check your wallet. So all it would do is it would check your connected wallet for proof, basically.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's it. I mean, I know that's a lot of information, but like
Mhm.
the beauty of it is, at least from my perspective, is like you can use our certificates of insurance. You'll be able to mint your own, set up your 50% side. 50% goes to the protocol, to all those pools, which then you benefit from anyways because you're part of the protocol. You define where the other 50% goes. You go sell those certificates of insurance. You airdrop them, whatever. And any holder of a certificate of insurance basically gets airdrops from the way the protocol works is that those get airdrops or like streams from, we just query the address. Okay, Darren is holding 100 certificates of insurance. Louise is holding 110. So that means Louise got 10% more insure than Darren did because he's holding 10% more insure. See what I'm saying? Like, and it's the agents also. So like the agents, it queries the agents' wallets also, not just your personal wallet. But basically any certificate of insurance holder can benefit from the rewards, basically, that get streamed through the protocol.
Okay, that's really cool. I think would be like really good for the ReFi local nodes as well, because then the grouping can be like quite bigger. For instance, like considering like ReFiDAO and then including the local nodes as well. And then for instance, we could consider like checking if someone is part of any like local node to see if they'd be able to do like anything.
Yeah, so like something cool here, like with your map, for example, like let's just say, like, and that's I think that's what you're saying is like you created a Silicon Valley.refi, NYC.refi, Paris, Berlin.refi, right? And then you can use the place module to then you could display that on a map. And then you could take it a step further and be like, let's say Berlin node has like a project, let's say they just call it project 123. So you just do Berlin-123.refi and you give it place. So then like all of a sudden, like if you're here, like, you could type in like Berlin, like it's not going to show, right? But you could, I want to see any refi node projects in Berlin and you type it in there, or I want to find project number 1234 and it would just have its account. So like Ignacio with endangered trees, they're doing that with tree species. So like if you do like redwoods, like that's actually their whole. And so like they're going to have redwoods as like, so like imagine your refi node is like, that's like, NYC.refi is like that. And then they're going to do like projects like, or like individual tree groves, I think, like, so redwoods, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, like would show up, and you could name it whatever you want. You could name it like East Bend, or but you can do the account naming .ents or .refi, whatever that'd be up to you guys, right? So like it gives a lot of flexibility to actually at so the person level, the project level, and the group level for you guys to do your names however you want, like, right? And then your mentor contract here. Yes, if we go back here to TLD name and you go to refi, and tell me if you guys got to go. I know we're going long, but so this is your guys' contract. right? So you can go write contract, or let's just see if factory address. So buying enabled, right? We have it set to false right now because we don't want people buying names. So you could actually, create a custom minter contract, swap this minter out. That's our default minter, just nothing right now, null. You could do a custom minter that when someone that would call this mint function, so minting could still be set to false, but you could say only someone who owns this, because we were using the refi example, like let's say only the person, the account or the address that owns this account can call this function. Or you can make it so that this address, or if this address owns that, it calls this function. So that's like the semi-permissioned approach. So you have public minting off. Like I couldn't just go mint a .refi name, but if I was a .refi member and I was like an admin, you set me an admin or something, then I could still call this function because it would check your custom mint contract it'd be like a layer above this mint contract where so you still set the price at 0 and you say, NYC dot, project 1234. And then, okay, where do you want it to go? So you just type in, whatever. So I want it to go there. And you don't have to do a refer address, but then you just write the contract. And you can use the front end will have this like you can do it your own custom front end, or you'll be able to use ours. You'll be able to use there'll be a little create button up here, which I'm not sure why that's not showing, but I guess it shows here. So you just do create. So if you're in the .refi namespace, you do create, and you would type in. It just uses this on the back end. So you type in this on the front end. That's where it would go to the connected address. So there's a lot of flexibility with how you manage your nodes, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Okay, cool. Just checking it now here. Okay, do you see the option to create new accounts? Okay, cool. No, actually not really.
Well, all our front end, I don't have that activated yet, because there's some gas checking stuff we have to work out. But like, you can just use that contract right now. So this is your guys's. So we'll get this contract to you, and then you guys can just use this function. And so you guys could actually just do fully permissioned right now, and you guys could mint your names like that. And you guys have, your multi-sig or whatever,
Okay.
would be the owner. You don't have to use our front end. You'll be our front end is going to be more for like public minting, like .earth accounts. Like anyone can get a .earth account for like $2. Like I just need to turn that on.
Okay, cool.
So, in .ai, people are going to be able to get that account, as well. But Darren, if you have like one of your groups, or if you wanted that like a .ai for Gaia, like just let me know.
Yeah,
DM me.
Yeah, I think like Gaia.ai would be
Okay, cool.
perfect for us. And yeah, I would like to just kind of like explore a connection, like how we can integrate. Like I feel like for us, like we've already started on this path of like developing our own infrastructure for like hosting our agents. But if we could still like plug in, which seems like it's totally possible, and that like your platform, it doesn't exclude us from doing everything that we're already doing, right? So it just seems like a great additional ecosystem to tap into.
And the other thing about like, have you guys launched your virtuals token yet, or are you still thinking
No,
about it?
we're still in the plans for it.
So in our plugin, we're going to add a token section, which would allow you as the character file owner to basically prioritize certain tokens. So you'd have a primary token, and then you'll have secondary. I'm just kind of thinking through, this is how we've kind of mapped it out so far. Like, so in your character file, you define one primary token that you want to support. Like, so in my case, right, it's insure. So like our agents are going to put insure as the primary token, whereas like Solarpunk DAO is probably going to put Earth, right, probably as their primary token. And you put in the contract address. And then you have secondary tokens where you can list whatever tokens, like, oh, like I want to support Darren's token, I want to support Earth. So we would put, insure as primary, Earth, and Darren's token as secondary token. And the agent knows, oh, that's my token I pump. But where this gets like, so I would say in terms of like a virtual token, like we could add that there. But what I would encourage you to do is just spin up your own ERC20 and just like, we can put it in the character file, and it has basically nothing to do with us, but like your agent has an ERC20 or that it's shilling basically, or it's tied to it. And another feature we're going to be enabling is the agents. I don't know if you guys have seen Clinker, but like the agents themselves will have one opportunity to deploy their own ERC20. And so like it can use its own rationale and its own its character file with human input. If you can influence it, because if you're the operator of the agent, and it'll use it's like a Clinker fork that deploys its own ERC20 for what its purpose, and then that automatically bumps to the primary token. So you can't once it's changed to the primary token becomes that, it can't, that's its primary token. Like it deployed a ERC20 token, it automatically sets up a liquidity pool, and the token is defined for whatever the agent defined it. It mostly aligns with its purpose, right? Like if you have a wildfire agent that, it creates a meme token or a real impact token for wildfires. You see what I'm saying? So every single agent, it sounds crazy, dude, but that's where this is headed. Like in the next few months, like every fucking agent's going to have a token, dude. Like it's, I'm sure you guys see that, but like, that's what virtuals is, right? Like every agent upgrades to a token. And what I would just say is like, virtuals is like, you're kind of locked into their stuff, which is cool because it has liquidity and whatnot, but you're kind of stuck there. Like you can try and use the game SDK, or you can kind of, you can try and use Eliza with it, but like the stuff we're building, like the agent will have the agent wallet that you actually own, right? Or you control, owns the token contract, or, like it's virtuals doesn't own it. Insurance doesn't own it. Basin, Chemo doesn't own it. The agent that deployed it actually owns it. Like, so it's super modular. You can just go take it wherever you want to go.
Super cool. Well, I think I'm gonna hop off, but yeah, thanks so much for driving this this work session. This was really informative and inspiring, and yeah, I just can't wait to tell my group about this and start playing with y'all.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys sticking around and asking questions, and hopefully it's helpful, right? Of like what we can do or build. Like the funnest part for me is like seeing like how different people, right, or different groups are going to organize the different accounts and the different agents and what they find important. Of like, Pranav yesterday was like, I wanted to check the weather and then call people that says, tells it's going to flood in a certain part of the city. Like, it's like, wow, like, like where other people just want it to be an expert on whatever knowledge, right? Like it's pretty crazy. It's cool seeing like, or like Louise, how you guys might use it for your ReFi nodes or ReFi projects. Like it's super. And the exciting thing is if you guys build something useful, you just push it upstream with a pull request. We'll evaluate it, bring it in, and then if we think it's useful, we'll push it up to Eliza main. And same thing, if they think it's useful, they'll incorporate it. Like it's it's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, that's true. And from my side as well, thanks a lot, Timo, for organizing it. And yeah, really interested in like getting things like getting to work with it, getting things out of it, and like seeing it actually like working out. Actually, to have a quick last question from my side, that is basically if you'd have any chance any template character file that could be good basically for doing most of the like community management on like Twitter and basically being able to but I guess that would change a lot with the knowledge of the character as well. And then we could just like add to the knowledge that we have. But yeah.
I have a we have a pull request right now that hasn't been published, but it has a bunch of example characters, and it has like character best practices that we're trying to develop, or that like we still need to iterate on it. But like, let me see if it's published yet. Here, turns agents.
That'd be great.
Oh, right here. So it's this. Let's see, archive. Let me just drop this in the chat here. This. Or how about this? I'll show you guys the screen real quick, and then this will be easier, I think. So I need to update it. But if you go to GitHub and search for our repo, basin-global. Yeah. And then if you go to, so like the first character file, or this one is it's a private sub module because we have private keys and stuff in there. So we don't, that's where our characters are running from. But like archive, I guess I don't have anything in there yet, but our next push will have some characters in there, and then character examples has ELIZA character examples, from AI16Z, and then this one, Louise, insurance agents on our next push will have some of our old, like Beaver, like I guess I can probably click on it because I'm logged in, but so like it will have these character files. Older versions are going to be in this like examples / insurance agents. So that'll give you an idea. And then what I would do is keep an eye on this, like, and I can get you the most current one, but like, like these, we're iterating heavily right now on these character files, like all these fields. Like some of these are like, ELIZA specific, like most, or, a lot of them are, but like these are all our fields right here. All this stuff. But that's ELIZA specific. But you can just get a basic character going with bio, war, knowledge, name, clients, and model. Basically, that's all you need. And then you put your API keys in your whatchamacallit, in your .env, or you could put it in the character file, but you could put your you put, so that's one of the tricky things with getting it set up. You have to like manage all your like API keys, and what we're setting up is so that you can put it in the character file and still keep it private. But like right now, you have to put it. You don't want your character files floating around, or like, and your API keys. Your API keys go in your .env, your environment variable file. Now, but if you're trying to run 10 characters or 100 characters, that gets super unwieldy. It just doesn't work.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess I'll try to make it somehow, like see if we get to make a good character file. I'll try testing it out like locally already, to see if it's like functional and so on. Then I also, did you get to like would you be able to recommend something like Flick or me.fun that I got to mention? I got kind of curious because maybe it could be a bit easier like to iterate with the character files. But then also I can do some exploring on my own.
The I haven't played with either of those specifically yet. The best would just be to download the Eliza starter pack.
Mhm.
So if you go to Eliza main and you look for the starter repo, and then just run that locally, and then there's a client, so it's not the direct client. I think it's just client, and that runs on your local machine. And then that's how I'd recommend testing it, because those other ones you're still gonna have to run online, and you're still Fleek and me, you're still gonna have to like push the updates to however they're managing their start command, their repo.
Okay.
So like I would test locally, and because you just do a quick build and quick install if needed, and then you just run the character on the client.
Okay, cool, perfect. I just got you set up the local environment, so it should be working. So excited to get it working somehow, and yeah, move forward with that.
Cool. Yeah, and then once we send you those like those .refi accounts, and we do some new ones, then you'll just install our plugin to your local repo, and then fill out the fields in your character file with the wallet
Okay.
addresses, and then you still test it locally. It still does the same thing locally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming, and great questions, and I'm excited to see what ReFiDAO builds here.
Okay, cool. Again, thanks a lot, Timo, for organizing it. Really, really good to learn and get more into it. So again, I'll test it out like on my end. Hopefully I get to have like something working with the character file. And yeah, looking forward to then testing it out together, and also seeing like later on exploring how to actually like explore more of like insurances kind of like features. And again, I think there could be like some cool possibilities with the local nodes and so on. So curious for that as well. And
Okay,
overall,
cool.
like amazing work with everything.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been it's a labor of love for sure, and it's finally it's coming together, I feel like. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
We'll have a good
So
good night there, and we'll talk soon.
cool. Amazing. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. And for those watching here on either YouTube or X, I don't know if we're still live on Telegram anymore. We might still be live on LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in. If you have your own, you want your own agent or whatnot, just DM me, and you have a group that wants to, could benefit from this, or some cause or purpose or place you want to protect or invest in or whatnot. This is totally extensible. So like we can customize the namespace, the agents, however you want to do it, the LLM, DeepSeek, OpenAI, Grok, whatever. Like that's what's beautiful about it. So DM me, and we're going to do more of these live sessions, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.